This is the self-evaluation. Throughout this mini course and the book, possibly if you've come here through other landing pages or work I've done, you've heard me talk about the different journeys of the soul. And so here is where I wanted to break down for you exactly what that language means to me, exactly what the process looked like for me and those I've worked through these processes, and to give you some examples and as well just ideas of how you could move through and progress through the different journeys as they're presented and as I explain them to be here in this mini presentation. So what this is it's a self-evaluation. I want you to understand the language through many different methodologies. We'll review lots of different ways people have explained these three journeys and how you can start to understand where you are in your own process. And then if you even want to explore moving further or moving down this path with me. So I'm going to remove myself here and get right into the experience. So let me pull everything up. Diving deeper. So basically this summary, this is what you're going to learn in working with me in any of these processes. Of course, the staples for the different workshops that I have created here for this self kind of journey, self-exploration. So if you are here, there's definitely something that you've identified within your life that at this point in time is missing. Something within your journey feels like it's not there, like you don't understand or you need more validation. That's why you're here. That's why you would have gotten to this video. This is why you're getting this far. So let's discover what that might be, what journey you might be on, and then what process might be the most beneficial for you. So step one, it says discovering what journey you are currently experiencing life from and figure out what's missing there. And then step two through this self-evaluation will be understanding if you're ready for a process, and if you are, what one would fit you best at this moment in time, specifically geared towards your perspective and the level you're operating from. So mental awareness, and this is what we're going to dive deeper into. This is how I break down all of my work. There are three journeys. The journeys focus, journey one around the physical body, journey two around the emotional body, and journey three around the mental body. So what we do and what is an authentic truth that I have discovered in living my own process is that we move through what's considered low self, or the physical, emotional, and mental bodies. We move through an expansion process that has us begin with really in connection and becoming very hyper aware to our environment and what's happening outside of us. And then because we're human and we have this beautiful thing called a brain that likes to understand itself in connection to everything outside of itself, we start to self-reflect and compare our lives to everything that's happening in the external version of what we're experiencing, our environment. So this becomes our physical journey. So how we begin to understand mental awareness, which is kind of the third journey, is we start to use our objective, or that environmental, the physical awareness of what's happening outside of us. Now at the very bottom there of the circle, it says the physical co-creation portion of this. So to understand our physicality and how we are co-creating everything into existence, we have to tap into our subjective reality, or that which is flowing through our mind. So you can see how those two are already swinging back and forth, kind of the exact extreme opposite of one another. And then right there in the middle is this emotional understanding, which is how and where this pendulum ride that you're on is swinging to, and how you're experiencing life. And so you will hear me talk about these three levels and layers of awareness constantly. I'll call them physical plane or physical body. You'll also hear me refer to these three things together as the low self, the first triad. And basically, when we can move through each one of these first, second, and third journeys, physical, emotional, mental journeys, we become very self-aware of the personality, quote unquote, the ego, which also stands for our consciousness, that which we are choosing to express in any given moment or time. And then we can take that and present it to the world. That becomes our low self. And so to have complete clarity in each one of these different bodies means that we are living in complete, clear connection to our divinity or our purpose, which we can consider or call high self, which we'll get into at the very end of this presentation. So moving here now, we're going to get really deep really quick, and then we'll back out of all of it. So these are some charts. This on the left, this is just kind of a visual exploration. I'm such a visual person. My mind loves to see and understand what is happening in kind of a unseen world sometimes. And so this is how, and this is how I see what we're going to move through. This is how I basically teach. If we were to break down all of my teaching, this is how it would look in a visual representation. So we'll start with the really colorful one, just because it's a pretty classic chakra, linear chakra chart there. So you see the human body, and at the bottom on the right hand side it says the root chakra with the red orb. The very top you see crown chakra. So you have the 7 classic core channel of the chakras there. And so you can see now on the other side, we've got the template of the auric field that is being created by the human's connection to these vortices centers. And I'm going to just sidetrack there and go to that orb that's down on the bottom. So this is how I have been shown that same image of the chakra, that flat 2D version of the human chakra field. So what happens is we have not only a vertical plane, we have 3-dimensional reality that we live in, and we have a vertical plane, a horizontal plane, and then the time-space plane that goes past and future and front and behind us. And so what happens is these chakras create these experiential points that we can move into at any given time, being a 3-dimensional being able to operate up and down, left and right, forward and backward. So basically what happens are the people call what we exist in a matrix. It becomes this grid, this web that interconnects everything. It creates the fabric that our reality gets to play within. And so down there at the bottom, instead of just keeping it flat and 2D, root to crown there, you can see we have positive and negative expressions of each chakra that move in each direction, not only forward and backwards, side to side, and up and down. So no matter what we're choosing, and again, in our mental field, we have this ability to be very present, very active in our consciousness, and we can choose the reality in which we want to play within. This becomes the free will, the ability to choose from our subjective, our internal world, what we want to experience. And so chakras to me reside in this auric field, this reality, this tapestry that surrounds us, the fabric that surrounds us, that kind of creates our experience. And so we have we'll talk about the 7 different bodies in one language. So we have our physical body, our emotional body, mental body. Here it goes astral body, etheric template, celestial body, and the etheric body. And so this is one language to explain the 7 planes of awareness that the chakras basically create. And as we are able to expand our consciousness and tap into the more subtle energy fields that surround us, we begin picking up on the different aspects of each of those bodies or fields that surround us. And so what I work within, the template that I work within is the black and white template on the left-hand side. The very middle of that, you'll see the first triad, followed by the second triad, followed by the third triad. Now, these are the three evolutionary leaps that a soul can make. And so as we become a conscious being in our physical plane, we then can graduate to experience and clear our emotional plane, which then means we can begin to clear and expand our consciousness, anchoring into the mental plane of awareness. That becomes the first triad of experience, which means we're developing the persona, the individual low self, the human. And then when we can do that clear and completely anchoring into our soul, then we tap into high self, which becomes the higher mental plane, the unity plane, and the spiritual plane. So this is just an example of how I see what we're going to be working within, and gives you kind of just a visual template as we begin to explain some of the journeys that I'm going to present to you next. So the two questions I constantly want you to hold is what body or what journey are you experiencing from, physical, emotional, or mental? And then 2, are you ready to go through a self-guided exploration?